Good afternoon. Welcome to Options Center. It is Monday, July 29th, 2024. Welcome, everybody. If you're new here, go down to that bottom right corner, hit that Options Center logo, and subscribe. We are going to go through SPY on multiple time frames and then go around the horn on 65-minute just to kind of update, do a little maintenance on where we think price is going to go. I think this bounce is going to continue, but I want a heed warning. If the Q's tech starts to dump to one more low, and I'll show you why a little bit later in the lower time frames, then I think that we might diverge and have a lower low in the Q's, but possibly make a higher low in SPY. So I think IWM setting up for a long play as well as DIA. Okay. So we're doing this intraday here about 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do this, release this for supporters. It's 99 cents. But I also release it at 4 p.m. to the public if you don't want to pay that. So thanks for all the support, you guys. We have SPY on the monthly time frame, 2,000 top, 21 top, and we're looking for a top here as well. Now we're getting some sort of doji here on the monthly time frame. We only have a couple days left on the month, and I suspect that we'll have some sort of doji off of here, but I'm still looking for one more high, maybe a tweezer top here. I'm still looking to eke out one more high. I know it doesn't look like this, but just notice that when you get to these major tops, they they take a lot of time. They don't always have one candle and then a dump, you know. It's possible, but a lot of times tops are processes and bottoms are events. So this took nearly 3 months, even though you had the doji candle here, still eked out a new high and a new high here as well before moving lower. On the weekly time frame, and all these negative divergences are going to play out. So weekly time frame, we have a channel, possible channel forming. We only have one touch on the bottom, so it's not valid yet. But we're right at the 8 EMA. That's our momentum indicator. I presume we'll hold this position here. And I'm looking for a push off of this 8 EMA. And again, to eke out possibly a new high here and to have a lower high for the Qs. We talked about this in the last few videos, so I'll post those up top, a card up top, and then at the end of this video, so you can check those out. Talking about the previous tops right here. I'm not going to go through all that right now. And then we constantly review our target was hit. We're looking at that being our last target, 162 extension from this correction here, the 2021 to 2022 correction. This is the extension off of it, and we hit both. I didn't think we'd make it that far. I got to be honest. We hit this one, and I was looking for a top here, but held on to our trend indicator, which is the 20. So the trend is still up. And then our momentum indicator was the 8 EMA. We're holding on to that right now. And again, I think we're doing some kind of process here. Now, the week of 7/29, this is a weekly time frame, so it's not exactly today that we're looking for anything to happen. It's really this week. So we have a time relationship this week. So we'll be looking for something to occur along with so we'll check it out in the lower time frame. Let's go ahead and go over to the daily. To traditional technical analysis, we have a bearish rising wedge here breaking down. So far, this is the major trend line. I drew another one that's a little bit more symmetrical with these two lows here and this low here. So if this holds, then we can see some more highs here, but this will be kind of our spot here. I don't think we'll go much lower. I suspect that we'll maybe retest this trend line while the Qs possibly go to another low. But needless to say, this can go lower. If it does, we'll be looking to go long again. It will just change our premise. So right now we have a 3-wave move, and I think if we go lower and start breaking this trend line, go to new lows, possibly 533 or 524, then I think that will be an impulse wave where we have a 5-wave move down. So far we have 3, and it's very corrective, but we're looking at 5 on the Qs. And we'll look at that on the 65-minute, but possibly going to close these gaps here. You have a nice gap way up here and a gap here that we're looking to close. Right now, we're back testing the trend line, having a tough time with this confluence. We have the 2000 trend line. We have horizontal support resistance. We have the 8 EMA. This is, honestly, this is an objective short. If you're bearish on the market, this would be a spot right here, and and then you can place your back against something here that if price got over the 547 or 548, if it got above there, then you'd stop out and look for a stop there. I think we're pushing off the 50. If we can get above this, I think we'll have a pop, because it's just a solid area confluence. Going to the other frame here, we had our former resistance here at the 150 extension as well. That played a good role here. So just a huge confluence again, but we're squeezing between the 50 and the 8, and something's going to pop lower or higher, right? And I think, a good low would be this 530 here if we break down this direction, okay? And then we'll look to go long again. At least for a bounce, and by then there will be some positive divergence and things like that. So if we go that direction, I'm playing long right now, and then I'll have put protection on once again, just to play safe and just our due diligence for managing our account. Now on the daily time frame, we have this 730 time frame and then 8.5. So possibly we get our bounce. The time frame won't give us a direction, but going into 730 and 731, which is FOMC, so tomorrow and the next day, maybe we get a pop, go test higher levels, possibly the 552, but we're gonna focus in on Qs in a few minutes, so make sure you stick around for that, because the Qs are going to be the tail that wags the dog. I know I said that before in this instant, and so we have some levels that we'll really look at. But going into 730 and 731 are catalysts. If price is higher at that point, then we'll be looking for a reversal, and 8.5 looks like a good spot. If price is higher for this one, possibly get a low in the 8.5 range. So we'll be looking out for those ideas. Or if we're lower into 730, 731, then we'll be looking for a possible bounce into 8.5. Okay. So let's go around the horn, 65-minute. We'll check out the VIX as well. So starting with SPY, you have this low here, these 2 points, and these lows here. We're fighting with the 2000 previous top. So we probably could draw a trend line here as well. And we were wasting time going into that trend line, and we're not quite there yet. So maybe we have a little bit more time. But after we get above this trend line, if we get above there, then that's a possible, catalyst for us to go higher, breakout. Right now we're just moving time and price. And what I think this is, I think we're looking for an ending diagonal. So when this breaks, I think that this is going to break out to the upside. I think this was an A and a deep B. And then we have our initial 1. And then we had a flat pattern. It was a perfect symmetrical ABC here for flat pattern. And now we're going to start working on wave 3. So I think tomorrow we should continue to move to the upside in a impulse direction. And after this flat pattern, we got a nice little move here back to resistance. So on a lower level, 1 and wave 2. So this should not go much lower. We cross below here. We have something else going on here. The count's wrong, but we should hold pretty much the 544 area. Should be our low, and then the continuation should happen, possibly a gap overnight higher, and we might have some catalysts. I really didn't look at what's happening. I've been focusing on FOMC, but we may have something happening tomorrow as well. I guess I could take a quick look at that. We have on the economic calendar, consumer confidence at 10 a.m. and JOLTS at 10 a.m. So the job openings. So ADP's on Wednesday. That's an early catalyst. Chicago PMI. Plenty of stuff happening tomorrow. Or excuse me, Wednesday. All right, so this should hold. We break these levels. I think that we'll get an impulse going into tomorrow, going into FOMC. And then I have the time relationships here. So after something happens with FOMC, perhaps a reversal and holds the low, I'll call it, but possibly the trend line or so. And then let's look at the Qs after. Check this out. I do have some targets up here. We'll work on that later. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm looking at. Heading up here, we have a huge group of time relationships. And I suspect because the bears will come out here at the 50-60% retracement looking for a new low, that's possible. But so I think we'll reverse going into FOMC into this area, and this will be considered wave 1. We'll have that A, B, C into 1. We'll have probably a sharp wave 2 going into 8.5 and the 8.6 here. I think that's Tuesday, turnaround Tuesday. So if we have a low there going into Tuesday, we have that cluster of time relationships. Okay, so we'll probably hold some sort of low here on SPY and then get our wave 3, 4, 5. Okay, now with the Qs, let's go over to the Qs. I think it's going to look a little bit different. And so we have to pay attention to how strong or weak the Qs are going to be in relationship to also IWM. And so it could look something like this. And the reason why this is still on the playbook, I think this might get a pop higher, and going into FOMC, that'll allow the market to go higher with IWM being strong. And I know I always say IWM, but MDY, the mid caps as well. And then we'll probably get a new low here. So what I'm looking for in this situation is, if we're just looking at traditional technical analysis, remember we talked about this head and shoulder. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Well, that plays out. We still have a target down here at 447, 446. And that hasn't hit yet. And so what I'm thinking is that there's going to be some selling pressure after we get a higher bid here. And that will be considered a back test of the neckline from this head and shoulder. And then we should have a pretty harsh move to the downside, pulling the market with it, and going into 8.6 the next Tuesday coming up. And so this is where I have the 382. So this would mean that this is a 1, a wave 2, and all of this was a wave 3. And what we're simply doing on this pattern here is getting a wave 4. And now it doesn't have to go up there. This is a valid spot for the reversal to happen. So that's why we're looking to keep some puts on going into these catalysts. But if the market is to go any higher from the count that I have for you, it looks like we're probably just getting an A, B, and then this B might be some sort of triangle or something, and then we resolve a C up here for the 382. That would be a valid wave 4, and then we'll look for a dump down to our targets, the 447. If this plays out, then we'll probably see new lows here in the Qs, but relative strength in the over in the SPY from IWM and DIA holding the market up somewhat. Okay, so I think that we'll probably get a higher low in SPY. Now, what if we do get a new low in SPY? It's okay. It just, now we have to look at this as a possible A, B, and then if we make a new low, eke out a new low, that'd be a wave C, and we'd be looking for a long anyway. After that, we just have to reset our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our 5-wave move up has not begun yet. If we get a new low, so we have to reset our count. Okay. Now on the Qs, I think this will be important to look at on the daily time frame, because it's very, very symmetrical. We have this trend line way back here that hasn't been tagged yet. And with this situation, we have a very good support here. And that's where our support would be, the trend line and the 446, 447 area. So this makes complete sense. We have a little bit of room to go up, possibly test the 50 moving average, reject all the way down here, pull the market. And yeah, so that's what I'm looking for. And so how do we know if SPY is going to make a new low? Because we're going to see, we'll see how IWM and DIA are, how much they're holding the market up. When the Qs get to the 447 zone, where is SPY at that time? Okay, so it's not going to drag, in my opinion, it's not going to drag any lower because of the support and trend line. So if SPY is already lower, making a new low, then we'll be looking to go long anyway when and if we get to 447 on the Qs. So that will be our Q, no pun intended, that will be our Q to go long when we get to that target on any of the indices. Okay, so this is a setup here. I think it's going to break out to the upside. We have a ascending triangle. So that's a setup for IWM if you just want to go long that. And DIA also pushing off a support here, and not so much of a setup that I can call, I don't know, cup and handle or something, but looking at in a bullish posture at that 1-2, maybe 1-2 setup. But we'll look for some strength in DIA. And even if it doesn't really go very far, getting new highs, it could just hold and hold the market. So the VIX, and the reason why I think we're pretty solid on our low for SPY is because the VIX has already hit our targets that we're talking about, rejecting off of it. We have a downtrend line on the daily time frame that was rejected off as well. And so we're getting our move lower from here, and I think we have plenty of room to move down before setting up for another VIX run. So we got our bounce on Friday, I believe, Thursday or Friday, and that allowed the market to go down a little bit more. So watch the VIX. If the VIX does start to break to the upside, then clearly the market is getting bearish, but I think we have more downside, possibly to the 15 going into FOMC, and we'll see what happens. That's how we end up trading. It's just holding these, seeing where the strength's at, seeing where the VIX, what it's doing. There's our rejection off the trend line. So seeing what's happening as we look for this is a possible reversal. Maybe we get a bounce tomorrow, maybe we'll reverse a little early, so or we can get follow through here, and then the market will start to rise a little bit more into FOMC. And I suspect that we might get all the way down as the market is reaching to new highs over time. I do suspect that we test much lower levels on the VIX. But after we make a new high, if we do in SPY, I think the VIX is going to break out from this downtrend, a real breakout. And that with that happening, we can not only test the 35 here, I'm looking for much, much higher. Okay, so that's where we're at. Hope this helps. We will check back tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, and don't forget to like the video.